KP just straight up is not showing up. Let's get into this. Ever since Kristaps Porzingis was drafted into the NBA, and ever since he's been playing, he's been known for being a unicorn in the NBA and just a very special talent in this league. When you talk about a guy who's 7'3" and has the ability to put the ball on the floor, post up, shoot, do everything offensively at that 7'3" size, you're really a special player out there. And ever since Porzingis was traded from the Knicks to the Dallas Mavericks to team up with Luka Doncic, it was supposed to be an amazing 1-2 punch with those two guys because they're both obviously very special players, or so we thought. At the start of the playoffs against the Clippers, the Mavericks came out extremely hot, winning the first 2 games on the road, and at that point it seemed like the series was over. But the reason that the Mavericks were up 2-0 had really little to nothing to do with Kristaps Porzingis. It was literally all Luka Doncic just going absolutely crazy on the offensive end. But after that hot 2-0 start, the Clippers won the next 2 games, so now it's 2-2 right now, and one of the biggest issues now is the fact that Porzingis is not showing up. And if Luka isn't able to, beat the Clippers on his own, which is very tough to do because the Clippers have Kawhi Leonard and Paul George and are still a very talented team, Porzingis has to show up. He's a second star and he just has not been. He's consistently having games in this playoff series that he's just not showing up whatsoever. He's putting up barely any points and he's putting them up on very inefficient numbers, which really hurts your team in 2 ways. Of course, first, you're not putting up as many points as you should be and you're that second star and they need you. But on top of that, if you're super inefficient, now you're taking possessions away from other guys in your team that may hit those shots. And especially on the defensive end, Porzingis is struggling tremendously as well against the Clippers in this series. Especially in the pick and roll, Porzingis throughout his whole career, it's been going on for some time now, has proven that he's not able to defend in the pick and roll and really needs to improve on that. He obviously does get blocked shots a lot because he has a knack for it. He's super tall and is athletic as well, so it's definitely good that he's able to get blocked shots, but that's not all that is to defense. Obviously, you have to be able to defend in the pick and roll as well, and there's other things to defensive IQ, and there's some things that he just doesn't have. But when you're especially not able to defend the pick and roll and the other team continuously exposes that, it's very tough to win. And I mentioned this in one of my previous videos about a guy like Montrezl Harrell who wasn't able to defend in the pick and roll and consistently got exposed, and now look where he is. He's not even getting any minutes for the Lakers. When coming into the season, when the Lakers ended up getting him, he was seen as a major piece to their team, and now in the playoffs he's not even playing. It's pretty clear that Porzingis really does need to step up his game in order for the Mavericks to win this series, but the question of the video is, why is Porzingis struggling so much in the series? In order to answer this, let's take apart Porzingis' game and see what he does effectively to start out with. So of course the biggest part of Porzingis' game is his shooting ability at that 7'3" size. He's a very above average shooter. He's probably an elite shooter, especially for that size, and when you see him out there, he has very deep range, similar to guys like Trae Young and Curry. Honestly, his range is very deep, which actually I think is one of his downfalls, but I'll get into that later. Moving on to the next part of Porzingis' game, let's talk about his post-up ability. Porzingis obviously isn't a physical guy, and he's not really going to back down whoever in the post and just get all the way to the basket. But however, I will say Porzingis is pretty decent in the post when he gets the ball in that post area at doing a little bit of a post turnaround fadeaway over guys, because nobody can block his shot at 7'3". But I will say Porzingis did put on some strength coming into this season, so I would like to see when smaller guys are defending Porzingis, I would like to see him post down all the way to the basket. But either way, he has a pretty decent post turnaround fadeaway, so in terms of his post-up ability, I will say it's decent just due to that fact. But now let's get on to Porzingis' finishing ability. Now of course Porzingis is 7'3", and you're not expecting this guy to take the ball and drive all the way to the basket, although he does do that from time to time. But I will say Porzingis does have very good athleticism, and obviously 7'3", so he does dunk over a lot of guys at times. And he doesn't do it as much as he used to, but from time to time Porzingis definitely does have some posterizing dunks on putback dunks. But now let's talk about Porzingis' ball handling. So of course at that 7'3" size in that center position, there's nothing you can say and complain about. He has very above average ball handling and he's very elite in that category. You even see him from time to time create his own shot at that 7'3" size, which is absolutely incredible and the reason why he got that unicorn nickname in the first place. Obviously on the offensive end, Porzingis is extremely talented, but why is he struggling so tremendously in this playoff series? Now obviously I think there's a bunch of reasons for why this is happening, but one of the reasons reasons that I want to get started with is whenever you look at a star at Porzingis' skill level and they're struggling this tremendously in a playoff series, usually it comes down to their confidence, and probably Porzingis is just not confident out there. And we don't have confidence out there, it really shows, of course. I mentioned this in my Julius Randle video that I made recently, that Julius Randle just has no confidence out there, and it's very obvious when you're watching it. And I think that's a similar situation with Porzingis in this playoff series. But that doesn't mean his confidence can't come back, of course. If you have one good game and you start to get your confidence going by hitting a lot of shots in a game, now your confidence is back and you're up and rolling. So Porzingis could definitely get back into it. But of course, it's worth mentioning another thing, and another reason why I think Porzingis is potentially struggling in this series is he's obviously going up against the Los Angeles Clippers, who are known for being one of the better defensive teams in the league and maybe a top 5 defensive team. Probably they are. And especially in that playoff intensity, it gets very tough at times, and they're throwing good schemes at Porzingis. So of course, that could also potentially be one of the reasons why Porzingis is struggling in this series. But either way, if Porzingis is truly a star in this league, which I think he is, he should be able to persevere through this, and maybe as time goes on, he will learn to. But the last reason why I think Porzingis is struggling in this playoff series, and I think this is one of the biggest ones and a fundamental thing about his game, is the fact that Porzingis is shooting too many three-pointers at that 7'3" size. So I mentioned before in the video that he has a very expensive range, and he can shoot out there similar to Curry range and also Trae Young range, which is obviously crazy and great in the moment and crazy when he makes it, but I think he falls in love with that three-pointer a little too much, especially shooting very deep. Of course, I'm not saying don't take the three-pointer, but I think that's basically all of his game in this playoff series, and when you're at that 7'3" size, you really got to take advantage of that. Get inside, do that post turnaround fade where you have, run in the pick and roll, pick and pop, and really just get inside more and get easier buckets, especially when you're struggling like Porzingis is, and you're taking 50 feet three-pointers. Even if they're wide open, it doesn't matter. You're taking extremely deep three-pointers and you're struggling. Obviously, you're going to struggle even more if you're not hitting that. I really think this is the biggest reason to why Porzingis is struggling so tremendously in this playoff series. Use that size, get inside, especially when you're struggling like this. I feel like it's kind of common sense, but when you watch Porzingis out there, you always see him taking three-pointers on catch and shoot plays, and especially super deep three-pointers. I think it's kind of common sense. But anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think Porzingis is struggling for the reasons that I listed, or do you think it's some other reason that I didn't mention? But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did enjoy, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps me out a lot. Until the next time, peace out, guys.